and Orion nukes it out of the corner. What's happening, homie? We are back with another one. Today we are at Perry Dam Road Race, the second one of the series, Cat 3-4. Averaged a pretty slow 21 miles an hour, 220 watts, 285 watts normalized. I have an FTP of around 300 and I weigh around 163 pounds. And you know, Perry Dam is kind of a race of features. There's really three main features on the course. The first one we're seeing here is this downhill. You know, it's about a 4, maybe a 5% downhill. Normally you pick up quite a bit of speed, but we kind of came slow over the top and no one really wanted to pedal. The second is what this downhill rolls into, right? So you're going to roll into this left-hand corner and that ends up being the dam. And this race is always windy. Today we had about 20-mile-per-hour crosswinds coming from the north, so a left to right crosswind here on the dam. And it really slowed things down. You just can't get away unless you have a bigger group, you know, 4 or 5 guys all willing to work, and no one in the group was going to let that happen. And so, you know, you end up going 19, 18 miles an hour, but, you know, I'm doing 400 watts. It's not that we're not doing the power. The power is definitely there. It's just that the crosswinds make it so brutal and just nothing can really get away. One guy had tried, but he got chased down by the Dogfish team. So we're going to jump ahead to probably the most important feature, and that is the minute-and-a-half long, you know, 7 or 8% hill at the end of the race that, you know, leads into the finish. So you take that right-hand corner, and it gets pretty steep, and you can carry some speed. You'll see we're going about 17 miles per hour, but it just slowly dips down because it's just too much of a drag. I think the first bit's about 8%, and it is, I mean, you got to do probably 5 or 6 watts per kilo to stay with the group for the first 30 or 40 seconds. But after those first, you know, 30 seconds of pain, it levels out a little bit, and it probably goes to maybe a 2 or 3% incline. And generally, you know, most people let off the gas on that flatter section because everyone's really just trying to rest, and no one really wants to continuing hammering just because it's too long of a climb. It's like a weird pacing, right? Because it goes really, really steep at the beginning, 8-9%. Levels off to about that 2-3% area, and then at the end it probably jumps up to 13-14, maybe even 16% at the steepest. So it really slows the race down, and with that happening, you just can't, if you get on the front and you just hammer the whole time, you're going to give a big benefit in the draft, even on that 2 or 3% area. And you'll notice the Dogfish rider on my left, there's Orion, and I realize he's probably the biggest competition in the race, and thus I try to mark him and just make sure that he doesn't get away on the climb. Yeah, he's a lighter guy, and he has some good, you know, power to weight ratio, absolutely. I mean, he can really book it up the climb, and you'll see here on the steeper bit, everyone gets up and starts doing power again because you're going to make everyone else hurt. I'm falling back a little bit, doing about 400 watts, so it's clear that, you know, they're willing to punch it. I know, though, that no one's really going to punch it over the top. People really haven't been willing to do it just because the dam, again, that crosswind makes it so hard to get away. And as long as you're in contact with the group, once you come over the top of the hill, you're going to be fine. And I, you know, obviously I reconnect and I make sure that I'm with the group before we hit the downhill. And we'll jump ahead here to about the last kilometer of the race. You know, it had been pretty slow on, you know, the first half of this lap, first 2/3 of this lap. And I was a little bit far back, but I was like, okay, I just need to move up a little bit and mark Orion, and he's right in front of me. And I know that he is going to be effectively the only person I think who can beat me in this race. I have a pretty solid 1 to 2 minute power range. You know, it's kind of where I feel like I excel, or it's where like my best power lies. And we start to kind of pick up speed rolling into this final corner, but I'm still feeling good with my position. I'm about 4th wheel, and with it being a really long climb, power to weight almost matters more than your positioning. Being 2 bike lengths up really will only matter if you're neck and neck with the guys that you're racing. But a lot of the guys in this race are a lot bigger than me, you know, maybe 190, 200 pounds. And I just know that they're not going to be able to do, you know, 800 watts for 2 minutes. And if they can, they probably shouldn't be a Cat 3, but, you know, you never know. So, you know, just trying to stick on the wheel and make sure that nothing gets away. They start to pick up the pace a little bit, and you'll notice we're getting a little bit more strung out, which is actually really nice. It means that this corner is going to be a little safer. You can take the line that you want, and that's what we end up doing. And you'll notice here I shift into my little ring early because I know it's too steep to climb in the big ring. But I know if I shift into my little ring early, you kind of have an advantage, and you don't have to worry about dropping a chain or anything like that. And you'll notice my cadence just jumps to like 130 here in a second, just from spinning out. I let a little bit of a gap open because generally in this corner, people will break because there is gravel in the corner. I close down the gap and Orion nukes it out of the corner, and I just have to immediately start sprinting. I was not expecting us to go this hard this early, but he just goes, and so I have to follow, right? 900 watts for the first, I think, 20 seconds of this climb, and he is still nuking, and I just need to get on his wheel, because if I can draft in that, slightly less steep 3 or 4% section, I have a chance of winning, right? And he is just going. He sits down, and I go, thank God. I can hopefully get on his wheel. He does not let up. He just keeps the throttle open, and I just cannot close this down. I don't know what he was doing. He must have hid and preserved his energy way better than me, because I'm still doing 400 watts, and I cannot catch him. I'm getting a little bit of a draft right now. I'm about 3 bike lengths off, and he is just hammering away still. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going too hard, right? Like maybe he won't be able to hold this up. So I'm like, okay, just hold a steady power and catch him on the steeper bit, because that final steep section is another 30 seconds of racing. And then he stands up and he finds that other gear, and he just is gapping me so hard. And it's just, there's no way to close this down now. Tactically, I don't think I made any mistakes, other than maybe I didn't preserve well enough, but there was no way I was going to catch him. He had to have averaged 500-600 watts, the same amount I did, but he weighs 20 pounds less than I do. For this minute in 20 seconds, I averaged like 600 watts, and he still beats me by a country mile. You'll see him post up here in a second. I beat third place by a country mile. Yeah, just a hard race, hard way to lose. Guy just outclasses you, and then that's that. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please drop a like, subscribe, and I'll be coming out with some more videos soon. Deuces.